Good day, my name is Alex Tursky. I'm the founder of the postplatforms.org project. This presentation is prepared for our partners in the project which we started together with PKF Consulting called Future of Living Institute. This is a 2-year project where we are going to invite a lot of hotels all around the world, and together with them, together with PKF Consulting, together with partner universities, we will investigate the possibility of implementing post platforms specifically in the hotels industry, and we will develop prototype and finally will articulate and develop products which will allow hotels to significantly reduce amount of money they pay to platforms and to increase amount of services they get from the post-platform project. The presentation will contain 3 parts. First one will explain what is post-platforms. Second one will explain our assumptions about the hotel industry. And the third one will be quite practical. What exactly are we going to do? First of all, what problem do we address? We address the 20% issue. That's amount of money hotels in general pay to booking platforms. And we think it's a very good incentive for hotels to react, because this is probably one of the major pains hotels have with modern platforms. Okay, we believe that we have a solution which is called post platforms. And we believe that post platforms will reduce this amount to something like, 5% or something like that, and also will bring a greater value. This is part number 1, introduction to post platforms. I'm going to present you 3 slides about Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3. Web 3 is essentially post platforms. The Web 1, as we know it, was created 30 years ago by Tim Berners-Lee, and the idea is very simple. We have web server on the left, we have web browser on the right, and people who want to read something from the web server, people from the right, they read it through web browser. It's a great technology. It allows you to access any information, but the problem is, and this problem revealed itself by the year 2000, that when we have millions or billions web servers around the globe, it's very difficult for people on the right who want to read something. It's very difficult for them to find the right web server. For example, if you want to find hotel, you have to go through hundreds of hotels yourself. It's very inconvenient. So people needed aggregation, and aggregation came in the form of the Web 2, which is platforms. And it could be Facebook or Booking.com or any other platform. For example, we have our own Easy Travel platform in mobile storytelling. And platforms present users on the right with a very convenient aggregated information from millions of suppliers from the left. And these suppliers, they have to publish the information not on their own web server, but on the platforms. Which means that if before they published only once on their own web server, now they have to publish several times on different platforms. So for example, again, if you talk about hotel industry, now hotel has to publish information on different booking platforms instead of one web server. It's a little bit inconvenient for those who publish, for people on the left and organizations, but it's very convenient for those who are on the right. Platforms are great. They really changed our world completely, and a lot of things became much more easier with platforms. But when they grew, they experienced the effect of so-called natural monopoly, and this monopoly actually spoiled the whole story. When platforms became big, we started to experience problems. Well, first problem, for example, this Chinese firewall between different platforms. You cannot send message from Facebook to Instagram or to LinkedIn, etc. And actually, we found that platforms own people. Well, all these troubles which are described now in mass media about power of platforms. We don't want this power. We want all benefits of platforms, but we don't want monopoly of platforms. So our solution is very simple. Because this monopoly comes from the ownership of the content, let's split platforms from the content. So let's cut content out of platforms. Let's move content to the left, to people, to the position where it was in the Web 1. And here we come to the Web 3 technology, which we call post platforms. And the idea is very simple. We have information on the a solid service on the left, and solid service is very similar to the web server, and we still have good old platforms. But at this moment, platforms don't own information. Any information platforms want, they pick it up from the solid service on the left. And it looks simple, but it has very powerful consequence. First one, all platforms in the world, they have access exactly to the same service on the left. So Facebook and LinkedIn on this picture, they have access to the same 3 people on the left, or 3 million people. And people on the right who use Facebook or LinkedIn or any other platform, they can read a post on one platform and they can write a post on one platform, but then they may switch to another platform and they will see exactly the same post, exactly the same likes, dislikes, so they can continue with another platform. It means that if a new platform comes to the market, then for people on the right, it will be quite easy to check it up. Okay, platform number 25, Facebook 25 comes to the market, so this girl on the right, she can just open this Facebook number 25 and she will see exactly her friends, her posts, her likes, all her comments, and she will see it in slightly different let's say layout, probably different colors, different functionality, but essentially it will be exactly the same information. So it will be very easy to switch platforms, and that's what we want, because if it's easy to switch platforms, platforms have no monopoly. So what platforms will do when they have no monopoly on people? Well, they have two things. First, they will have to develop functionality. So they'll have to compete not with the amount of people they have, because they all have the same amount of people. They will have to compete with functions, with services. They will employ artificial intelligence, or they will employ the metaverse like Facebook wants, whatever they want to compete with each other. And another thing they will definitely do, they will expand their services. And that's actually what Meta is going to do. It will be very easy for any platform to go to other industries. It will be very easy for Facebook to start sell hotels. It will be very easy for Booking.com to provide messaging system or social network, or start selling storytelling or cars or whatever. Because in order to expand your service, all you have to do just pick up uh, solid service of, I don't know, car manufacturers, and then you start selling cars. Okay, so platforms will develop themselves. We will see enormous competition and innovation, but also there will be changes for people on the left, those who publish. Well, first of all, they publish only once. They publish on their personal pod. It's called pod server. And when they publish it once, this information will be picked up by all platforms in the world. So people will not publish their information on specific platforms. So it will be not language like, okay, I publish my post on LinkedIn. No, it will be the language, I just published my post. I just announced my resume I announced that I'm looking for job. And it will be enough. All platforms which are providing job opportunities, they will search for such available resume, and they will immediately start to prepare to provide you with job opportunities. So people will find that it's very easy to announce their capacity, and watch all platforms in the world trying to sell these capacities. The same with hotels. At the moment your hotel publish information about available rooms, all platforms will compete for it, because it will be very easy to get this information. So that will be a major change. Well, just to sum it up, if I put all this Web 1, Web 2, Web 3 in 3 lines, idea of post platforms, idea of Web 3, it copies the best idea of the first web, it copies the idea of web server, because this port, the solid server, is essentially the same web server, just a little bit more advanced in a way that if web server could be read only by people through the web browser, that's why information is published in the form of HTML, human readable materials. Information on the port will be read not by humans, but by computers, by Facebook, for example, Booking.com. It means that this information has to be published in the machine readable language. And thanks God, Tim Berners-Lee, 20 years ago, he invented such machine readable content language. It's called semantic web, or it's called linked data. So if you put the information in the form of the linked data, computers will be it will be very easy for them to read it. So it already exists, this technology. And actually, Tim Berners-Lee, he invented not only linked data, he invented the solid protocol. So it exists already for 5 years. So essentially, we are not inventing the bicycle. We just take good old developments of Tim Berners-Lee team and we just employ it here. So solid already exists. And well, of course, we have to develop it much further before we can really use it. But a good foundation is done. As I said, we take advantages of both Web 1 web server and we take advantage of Web 2, the functionality of platforms. But because these platforms will not have any information inside, they will take it from ports through solid protocol, we call these platforms post platforms. That's where the name of the project comes from, post platforms. Okay, it's very important to make a note that post platforms is open standard. Actually, it's solid, it's open standard. And it's just the next stage of the web technology and linked data. And just like web, Solid is W3C standard. W3C is a consortium, it's a standardization body, organization which develops all standards for web technology. And it exists for many years already. It develops all web standards or some other standards like SSL, etc. But also Solid is this committee already exists. It works. So we are going to join it and develop within Solid committee. And being an open standards, it means sustainability for stakeholders. So hotels will be not anymore linked to specific technology. It will be absolutely open like the web. Well, how much does it cost for you to have a web server? Twice nothing. Okay, where can we use these ports? So it's not only people on the left like I depicted here. It could be houses, organizations, or hotels. Or it could be car, or a ship, or plane, or your refrigerator, for example. So people and organizations and different machinery, different things will have their own ports. So the information in the future will be held not in the databases, it will be stored at the ports of people or houses or machines. So that's where it goes. And in our specific case of hotels, we are talking about ports for hotels. I would like to say a couple words about security. Let me have a look at the history of things. The first big thing we invented many years ago was internet. And from the very beginning, when internet was invented, security was not on the mind of those who created internet. As a result of that, we had a lot of hackers, a lot of possible attacks, a lot of troubles. And I personally participated in the project called IPsec, IP security. The first attempt to create open standard for VPN was 1998. And we worked together with a company called Sun Microsystems. And frankly speaking, IPsec still doesn't exist. Yeah, it exists as a standard, but it was too late. Internet was already developed and was too late to do something. So as a result, we have internet without proper security. So too bad. Second example is email. Email was also created without any security in mind. As a result, we have spam, and as a result of spam, we have spam filters. And now when I send email to a new partner, I have to call him and say, yeah, have you received my email? Because in half of the cases, my email is filtered out by spam filters. So we have all these troubles. So email is also not secure. Web technology, when it was invented, nobody thought about security. Yeah, later on, 10 years later, by the year 2000, SSL was invented, but SSL is a halfway solution. It protects only the web server, but doesn't protect people. So people still have to use, instead of cryptographic certificates, they use logins and passwords. So we still don't have any good security for web technology. Well, after these three examples, my question is, if we go to the new development like post platforms, why don't we have a good security from the very beginning? And that's very important, and that's something we really want to implement, because if we have a good security in the beginning, we will have a lot of advantages which you could even only dream about. But any security start from keys. Keys are very important, and you probably heard about it, about private keys, public keys. Keys probably will be stored on your SIM card or some other device, so it will be hardware keys. Of course, it will be so-called open keys with certificates. We are not going to dive now into that, but it will require the whole infrastructure of notaries who will issue such certificates with open keys. We can talk about later, but point is we'll have to implement such infrastructure for hotels and for people if you really want to have good security. But if it's implemented, then POS platforms will provide a lot of possibilities. Well, you'll be able to sign documents, you'll be able to encrypt documents, you'll be able to participate in voting, you'll be able to take money from your bank, from ATM machines. You'll be able to open doors at your house, in the hotel, in your office, or in the visiting office. You'll not have to come to reception and say, yeah, I came to visit Mr. XYZ. You just open with your key doors of somebody else's office if you're allowed to come today. Or you'll start your car, or you'll start your rental car for specific days allowed. So this kind of things, with one key, you'll be able to do everything. Oh yeah, and of course there will be no more logins and passwords ever. So one key for everything. That's the future which we are going to build, and I think that will be great. And one more thing, almost forgot, it's likes and dislikes. Yeah, let's talk about it. For hotels, it's very important. What are likes? Typically, if you work with Facebook or LinkedIn or other platforms, people can put likes or dislikes to any post you publish, and usually these likes they come to these platforms and they stay with platforms. Our idea is we would like these likes to go further. We would like these likes to come to the posts of those who are evaluated, and this is great idea because finally, if you're a person or hotel, you will collect all your likes and dislikes not on your platforms you participate, you will collect it on your own poll. And yeah, for you as for a person, these likes will come from your school and university, it will come from your partners, your co-workers, bosses, subordinates. It will come from your personal network, from friends, relatives, or strangers. And all this data will be stored on your pod and you'll not be able to change it. And finally, from this data, it will be possible to develop some kind of, we call it e-karma, a kind of vector data which can provide information how supportive you are, how honest you are, what's your professional level, etc., etc., etc. And you'll not be able to change it because it will be all cryptographically signed. So again, without cryptography, we cannot talk about any serious rating. With cryptography, we can. Well, if you don't like your karma, you can definitely hide it. It's yours, but you cannot change it. You cannot just show good parts of your karma and not show bad parts of your karma. You either hide it or not hide it. That's how we see it. Well, but the most important question about karma is actually who owns it. Well, we have three options. It could be government, like in China. It could be corporations, like Mr. Zuckerberg, or it could be yourself. So our idea that post platforms allow to keep it yourself. So point is that we cannot avoid ratings. Right now, as we speak, your ratings are collected by all kind of platforms around the world. You take taxi, you are rated. You get a like on Facebook, you are rated. So if you cannot escape it, why not to keep it to yourself? So that's our idea. Why would we like to have all your rating and karma to be on your personal port or your hotel's port? Well, so what are opportunities of post platforms? First of all, we can apply it to as many industries as you want. At the moment, we are talking to banks, and they do like idea of e-karma because it allows them to address the problem known under the name Know Your Client. At the moment, banks employ thousands of people, and it's still difficult for them. And karma is a perfect way. Any bank will just ask you, well, could you show me your karma? And they don't have to make investigation because this karma will be based on the thousands of your interactions through any platform in the world and will be quite fair. We are talking to accommodation now. Well, it's you, specialists in hospitality. We are talking to e-commerce companies. It will be a big change there because in the future, any producer of any goods, this producer will not have to come to any agreement with any, Amazon or Bol.com or AliExpress. They will have just to announce and publish their goods. And at the moment they publish their goods at their port, their solid server, any platform in the world will be literally be able to sell it immediately. So it will be done automatically. So it will be competition between platforms for all these goods. So producers of goods will not have any issue anymore and it will be very convenient for them, just like we promised to hotels. Internet of Things. We are also going to make a lot of changes there. And in the future, if your company buys any, I don't know, excavator, and the moment you start this excavator, all your suppliers will know that suppliers of spare parts for excavator will know that your excavator is up and running. Your insurance company will take it into account. Your accounting system will take this excavator into account. So it will be very easy to deal with Internet of Things well when all things will have solid server on board. Actually, it goes as deep as we can probably address in the future the issue of fake parts, but it's another subject. Medical records. Right now, when you buy a watch from Apple, it creates a lot of content based on your personal medical measurements, but this data goes to Apple, and you probably don't want it to go to Apple. You want to keep it to yourself. And well, Solid Server is a perfect place to keep your personal medical records. Real estate. Right now, we are talking to the Dutch cadastre and many partners in real estate, and we have a strong feeling that we can also make a lot of improvements in the real estate business. And Dutch cadastre, they are very serious about it because they already played with Solid protocol for several years. Well, they understand it's not yet developed, and they do like idea of post platforms because it promises the answer to many serious questions about responsibility, about ownership, and they do understand that in the future, because of post platforms, for example, cadastre will not have a database. Can you imagine? Cadastre will do all its operations. It will be responsible for really controlling the real estate in the whole country, but it will not have its own database. All cadastre information will be spread in Netherlands between 7 million houses around Netherlands, and every house will have small piece of cadastre information, and cadastre will still keep control over it. That's amazing. Open publishing in science. Because we deal with a lot of universities, we know the issue of open publishing. We definitely can address this very, very old issue in science. With post platforms, we can build the system when scientists will really have access to any scientific materials immediately. So it will be a very advanced system. But it could be done not only in science, but also in music, films, etc. But on top of that, we have many, let's say, developments which are quite fundamental and go beyond specific industries. For example, it seems that we'll be able to introduce kind of e-passport. And electronic voting, it's very easy to be done if you have proper security in mind. It will be, in general, different level of security. As I said, there will be no logins, passwords. With one key, you can do whatever you want. I explained already. With post platforms, we can introduce electronic money. So it will be not money you send through the bank. It will be possibility for people to exchange money directly between people organization. You will not have to employ banks in that, and definitely it will require no blockchain or other strange fancy technologies like Bitcoin. It will be much cheaper and more effective. Post platforms can do it. Electronic karma, we discussed already. It will be great change. A very fundamental change will be from consumer to prosumer. And it will happen to people. When people will find that they are able to publish, to announce all their capacity, we are pretty sure that all platforms in this competition between platforms, they will really try to employ people with their capacity. So if you can make a good bread, the platform will find somebody who can distribute this bread and who can, who has a bicycle and can, deliver this bread within 1 kilometer around your house. They will pick up somebody who can run accounting for you. So platforms will create some kind of virtual companies for you. So if you can make a bread, you'll not have to go to the bank and make a company. It will be just done through those platforms, which will be happy to serve you. So a lot of people will find it easy to sell what they can do, and a lot of people will find they don't have to work for companies. There will be more and more self-employed people who become prosumers. Well, so finally we talk about digital self-freedom. And overall, it will be a big change, like governments will be without data and will have what European Parliament calls European data space. It all could be done with post platforms. Well, you may say Mr. Zuckerberg will not like it because yes, if you do all these changes, platforms like Facebook, their capitalization will go down because of competition. It's good for society, probably not good for Mr. Zuckerberg, so he will be against it. But let's have a look who will be pro, who will be for it. Well, first of all, second-rate platforms. Yeah, we know YouTube, but I'm pretty sure there are hundreds of companies like YouTube who are just waiting to also become a YouTube. all these platforms will have opportunity. This is great. And if it will be very easy for any platform to come into the market, there will be a lot of startups and the investors who will say, oh yeah, finally we can do it. So these guys will be pro. And then we have businesses who never ever participated in the platform business, like mobile operators or banks, but they would like to do something in this market of platforms. They have millions of users, but they don't have a fair share of this pie of platforms. We invite mobile operators and banks into the business. We have very specific business plans for them, and we are sure they will like it. Not sure, we already spoke with mobile operators and banks. We know they like it. Well, then we have companies and businesses which suffer from platforms, and hotels is a perfect example here. And of course, hotels would love to get rid of 20%. Yeah, so we have them. And all hotels together, it's quite a big force. Then we have businesses seeking for opportunities. For example, ERP systems. There will be a lot of opportunities for them. I will explain it later. So they're also for it. And finally, we have public institutions, citizens, universities, politicians, opinion leaders, media. All these guys will be pro it. We already work with a lot of journalists and they love this idea. So finally, we stopped talking about, let's make people, let's return content to people. We know how to do it. So altogether, all those on the left, they outperform small amount of big platforms. We believe it is possible, and we have very specific business cases for many industries. And now I'm going to talk about the specific business case for hotel industry. Well, and just to demonstrate that it's not theoretical, just yesterday is 18th of December 2021, I received this tweet from Ruben Verbo, and he's a guy who works together with Tim Berners-Lee. And he announced that he works in Ghent University, so he's really probably, let's say, it's the leading team in the solid technology in Europe. And Flemish government announced that they are going to spend 7 million on creating solids for people, solid service for people. And that's great. Well, of course, there are a lot of issues, a lot of problems, and they will help overcome it and will hopefully help them. But we definitely see this development that government takes it seriously. So the process started. Well, we invite you to participate in it. So now we come to the part 2, post platforms in hospitality market. Let's see how we can implement it here, how we can fulfill our promise to get rid of 20% and bring many more values, advantages to hotels. Well, we will continue to look at the value chain of the system. In this case, we are looking at the value chain of hotels industry. And this is value chain how I believe it was several years ago. Hotels deal with booking platforms. So they have to publish with Booking.com, with Expedia, we have probably a couple other systems they can find, and that's how it works. And of course, the whole power is in hands of booking platforms. At some moment, several years ago, as far as we understand, well, we are not specialists, but that's how we see it, we have seen the arrival of so-called channel managers. So channel managers, they came to the market and they suggested to hotels, guys, why do you publish to all platforms? Publish with us only once. So choose the right channel manager, publish with channel manager once, and we'll do the rest. We'll publish on Booking.com, Expedia, other platforms. We will balance the load. We'll deal with all your revenues. I mean, we will control the process. Very convenient. So channel managers charge a little bit for that, and they make it much easier for hotels. It started to work. And at some moment, it became quite popular to launch more and more channel managers. We believe that now probably 50 of them on the market. And they became quite powerful enough to turn this arrow around. So before that, they pushed information to booking platforms, but some moment they suggested to booking platforms to come to them through their own API and pick it up from channel manager. So it became much easier for any new booking platform to come to the market to pick up information from any channel manager they want. As a result, we expect that new booking platforms started to come. And we have seen results of this strategy. Some hotels reported to us that since channel managers started to develop the market, the Booking.com became less arrogant. It started to be more careful with hotels. They started to be more supportive, and they never seen it from Booking.com. Why? Because Booking.com started to feel competition. Well, still hotels have to pay like 20%, but already Booking.com started to feel that market doesn't belong totally to them. So channel manager was a good sign that there are ways to address monopoly. Well, and if you look at the schema, you find that it's very similar to the schema of post platforms which I demonstrated to you. Yeah, it's exactly the same. We have publishers on the left with their ports, and we have platforms on the right, and we have protocol between them. Well, my point is that channel managers demonstrated a structure which is very similar to our post platforms. So it demonstrates the fact that industry, which is really suffering from booking platforms, it started to develop something like post platforms, but itself. Now it's called a channel manager. Let me give you another example. I want to talk about air tickets. If you look at air tickets industry, we have Sabre, we have Amadeus, and we have a lot of platforms which sell their tickets. And within 5 minutes, I found these 6 platforms, but definitely there are hundreds of others. And as a traveler, we do know that all these cheap tickets, anyway, any day, all these companies, they don't earn much. Well, they definitely not earn 20% like Booking.com. Question is why? How it happens that Booking.com earns 20% and these guys probably hardly earn 1%? Well, it's because Sabre and Amadeus in a way are solid server. How it happened? How it happened that in airlines they have this proto solid server and hotels don't have it. Well, and definitely Sabre and Amadeus have all the content and power. I think the difference is in the history. It all started in 1980 when Sabre and Amadeus were created. And if you look at the amount of hotels and the amount of airlines in those times, I think the difference is at least 10,000 times. So it was just, like 50 major airlines. And for 50 major airlines, it's quite easy to join their resource and say, guys, let's make a Sabre or Amadeus. But it's very difficult to do it for hotels. Hotels are small, not so advanced as airlines, and to unite 500,000 hotels, it's quite a job. So as a result, airlines developed this, proto-solid technology back in 1950, and hotels didn't. So when Booking.com came to the market, it was very easy for Booking.com to conquer the market to itself and keep all the power. But when cheap tickets and L came to the market, and all these platforms which sell tickets, they found that Sabre and Amadeus waiting for them. So it was not possible for them to conquer the market and keep it to themselves. So that's our view on this development. So if you come back to the hospitality market, we see these channel managers and booking platforms. Well, the problem here is quite obvious. Channel managers have different APIs, so any booking platform has to develop to follow different API requirements from 50 different channel managers, and also they have to be certified 50 times. Well, it's quite obvious to conclude that the absolutely natural next step for channel managers, even if you wouldn't know anything about post platforms, the very natural way is, guys, let's standardize. Let's make one standard for all channel managers. Well, and then they will become pods, solid service. So first will be one, then several of them, and then finally every hotel will have its own pod. And because interface between pods and booking platforms will be the same open interface called solid, of course the cost of having your pod server will be very, very low, and it will introduce ultimate competition between booking platforms. So my point is that channel managers present absolutely perfect demonstration that industry is ready to implement post platforms. Actually, we have the whole structure. All we have to do, if you have now 50 channel managers, let's create 50 first, which will be solid based, and then we'll start from that. Okay, so let's start to list all the benefits for hotels. First of all, thanks to channel managers, we have a known value chain pattern. So we don't have to introduce something new to hotels. Say, guys, it will be like channel managers, but standardized. And because it's open standard, will be no vendor's lock. If you have if a hotel has a solid server from one provider, a pod from one provider, it will be very easy to switch to another one. It's like web server. Well, if you have your web server located at Amazon Web Services, it will be quite easy to move it to Microsoft systems or any other systems. It's just a web server. You don't care. And most important, because there is entry barrier for any booking platform, because all Solid service will be freely available on the market. Solid is open and free protocol. So any new coming booking platform will immediately be able to suck in information from all hotels. It means intense competition, and intense competition means that booking platform margin goes down. That will be the fulfillment of our promise, which we gave in the beginning of this presentation. But this is not all. We'll be presenting you many more advantages from post platforms. Let's go on. Let's talk about likes and this e-karma thing. You remember I already mentioned that likes from people will go not to platforms, but it will land at the pod service of hotels, which means that hotels will find themselves in situations that all likes and comments from all people will not stay with Booking.com or Expedia. It will really land on their pod server. It means there will be no dependency on Booking.com on that as well. So hotels will gain more and more power to their hands. And it is not all, because in the future, thanks to our other project with mobile operators, with banks, with real estate, and even with governments, like I mentioned before, that government of Belgium province Flanders, they are going to implement pod server with every person of Flanders. So people in the end will have their own solid server, which means that they have their own karma rating, which means that hotel, for the first time, hotel can rate people itself. So when a person is a guest at the hotel, hotel will be able to say, was the guest good or bad? And then you also start to gain power over people. So people will evaluate you, but you as hotel will evaluate people. It will be a very fair game. And I'm sure hotels will like it. There will be no need to keep, blacklist or whatever. You immediately, when a person comes to a hotel, you will see his or her rating, and you will decide should you give a discount to this person or accept it or whatever. Well, it means that e-karma will really affect your marketing strategy. At this moment, if you look at any budget distribution for any hotel, there is a distribution between money. Part of the money hotel spends on the quality of the service, actually on the service itself, and part of the money goes to marketing. Money which goes to the marketing doesn't bring actual value. It just propagates the news about your hotel. But if in the future e-karma will be the only reason for people to choose your hotel. And because e-karma depends only on the quality of the service, I believe that hotels will find it more effective to spend more and more money on the quality of the service, not on the marketing, because people will come automatically following karma of your hotel. Well, it's a good news. You'll be able to spend more money on the quality of service and less on the marketing, which will be done automatically. Speaking about e-karma, so e-karma will become a powerful driver for sales, and will be independency from rating booking platforms and possibility to rate guests. It's actually will raise their responsibility. Okay, next thing is check-in. I believe that post platforms will be able to help with check-in at the hotels. It's very simple because every person will have in the future their own solid server. This solid server will contain user data. Passport information, all information about the person. So it will be very easy for a person in the process of check-in to use the information from the solid server and provide to you immediately. So it will be very easy. You just press the button and you are checked in or you are registered. Of course, hotels will appreciate it because it will be a very universal service. You'll not have to implement some special system for that. And also, people will have keys. And you remember that keys could be used to open rooms. So it will be open solution for people to use their own personal keys to open rooms in your hotel. That's what hotels are dreaming about. Next thing, inside Solid servers, inside these pods, it will be so-called linked data technology. Linked data technology, together with artificial intelligence, will provide a lot of opportunities. Artificial intelligence, by the way, will really boost it because remember I told you that platforms will have to compete intensively. And what does it mean to compete? Compete means more service, and implementing artificial intelligence will probably become mandatory for all platforms, so it will be a boost in artificial intelligence users. And linked data technology allows hotels to provide information, first of all, not in very standardized mode, because it's very difficult to create standard, let's say, forms for all hotels in the world. So if it's and linked data allows this information to be not very standardized. So if a specific hotel will decide to put some specific information about the colors of the walls in the room, or amount or specific list of stuff in the refrigerator, or the distance from the ski lift, hotel will be able to put this information into the port. And because of linked data technology, all platforms will not only read it, they will understand it. And when they understand it, together with artificial intelligence, they'll be able to present it to your customers in the best possible way. So it will be very flexible situation with any information you put on these ports, which means that it opens enormous opportunity for automated information. So, for example, it will be flexible description of products, as I said, but probably hotels will be able to present dozens of parameters per room, not per hotel. And of course, there will be a better understanding between different cultures. So if, I don't know, some guys from absolutely different countries with different culture comes to you, they will use the platforms which will interpret your information within their context. And also post platforms will provide flexibility not only in terms between countries, but also flexibility in time, because with time, its temporal dimension, some terminology may change as well. And post platforms will take care of all of it. Well, final thing, post platforms will really improve relations with all partners, which means a lot of cost savings for hotels. Hotels heavily depend on all kinds of services, utilities, security, laundry, cleaning, and other services. And we provide two things here. First, it's easy connectivity. Solid protocol will be a kind of universal bus between information systems of hotels and all your suppliers and partners. And we discussed with different corporations already, and they already use a lot of linked data technology, and Solid is just the next step for them. But hotel is a corporation, so Solid will improve connectivity with your partners. But also because of e-karma and linked data, it will also improve your relations, because if you know quality of different partners, it will be easy to find them, to find the best partner, and to get better service for cheaper price. Okay, so if we review it all, so we already said that there will be no vendors lock with work providers. It will be intense competition, very good. E-karma is very powerful driver for sales. Easy check-in, universal keys, advanced representation of hospitality products thanks to linked data, and sustainable and effective interaction with partners. So, as I promised in the beginning, it will be not only about a reduction of 20% of money hotels pay to booking platforms. There will be many more advantages and many technologies like artificial intelligence or universal keys, technologies about which hotels have been dreaming for a while. It all will come in one technology, open technology called Solid. Good. Now we come to the part number 3. What's next? Well, we suggest to start with preparation prototype. And PKF company suggested to put post platforms in the context of Future Hospitality Institute. So Future Hospitality Institute, it can launch research projects in different directions. So post platform is just one of directions. And the idea is to get money from hotels for the research, like, 1 million euro for a couple years. And we can employ 2 or 3 universities. I already have agreement from Sciences Po in Paris and Erasmus University in Rotterdam. They are ready to participate. These universities tend to research more on social economical benefits. So we need one university specifically in the hospitality area. And I guess it could be a great project. And we will be able to include all wishes of hotels and really do the research and develop the prototype. So prototype is part of this research. And this prototype will be able to really demonstrate the whole ecosystem and to test all our assumptions. And finally, together with hotels, will develop approach to the products. So what kind of product we can suggest? At this moment, we already see two opportunities, but probably through the research we'll find more. First opportunity is quite simple. We will launch just another channel manager. Well, it's a well-known concept, so it's very easy to sell. We just launched channel manager number 51. It will be much cheaper than all others, and it will support open protocols, so even Booking.com will like it. And that's the way to roll out the system. Another way to approach it is to insert the solid module or pod module into ERP systems. There are not so many ERP systems in the world, so we suggest ERP systems to have this solid module, and then ERP will be able to sell hospitality product because solid will provide free access for any platforms to this ERP system. And when sales are done, then ERP will charge some percentage. They define what percentage they want. It's up to them, but definitely will be less than 20%. Well, so we believe it's not so many ERP systems in the world will be able to do it with majority of them. And I'm sure we'll find some more options. So we already have more or less idea how to roll out this technology. And definitely our company is not going to be a monopolist here. We'll be just one of many. And we don't even pretend to be a monopolist. We understand that we'll be just, one small business which will be competing with others. Well, we only hope that we'll enjoy first move advantage. So what is the role of our project, postplatforms.org? Well, in general, we are going to start with being one of the first solid server provider. We definitely will participate in the solid standard development within W3C consortium. And we will participate in different projects for developing post platforms. So we will consult post platforms what is the best way to use a solid technology. So it will be a lot of consulting. And together with PKF, we hope we will develop the conference and knowledge center in this area of post platforms, specifically, for example, in hospitality. But we also will deal with many other industries, so probably we'll have some kind of cross-sectoral consulting capacities. And specifically in hospitality, we are going to launch and test with you the prototype, and we are going to launch the first product solid-based channel manager, and we are going to launch this product based on ERP systems. Well, probably it will be something else. Okay, so these are our ideas on implementing of post platforms in hospitality industry. And thank you for watching. Please come back to us. We are a very open team and we are ready to discuss with you possibilities here. Thank you very much. Bye.